Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm your Evelyn Shorty. I was very, very ill yesterday, so I'm going to have to record 2 today, so get used to this outfit. And today we are going to be looking to start with at Arkham Horror, The Terror at the End of Time, which is based on the Arkham Horror game. And it's worth pointing out that I'm a big fan of the Arkham Horror games, should I say. There was a period when I was dating a girl who was also really into this kind of thing that we had every game and every expansion for every game. Now, you don't need to know everything about it, but it is very much based on the works of H.P. Lovecraft, unsurprisingly with the word Arkham in there. And as a board game, it is one way you basically get together with your friends and you go and investigate a thing and then try to stop the terrible thing happening once you figure it all out. Well, not really stop. In any kind of Lovecraft or well-written Lovecraft kind of thing anyway. Effectively, these humans, if they're lucky, they survive and they might slow down what's going on, but they don't really stop anything. If you've not encountered it all, there's a mobile game called Elder Sign, which I think should be free on almost every device with the possibility to pay to get some expansion kind of stuff. It's worth checking out that because it gives you a good sense of what you're going to be getting into, but there's a whole bunch of stuff out there. And it's worth pointing all that out because this is a property which exists. This is not just a different version of the Lovecraft mythos. This is one which has been very well fleshed out over multiple properties, including novels and game books, multiple board games, tabletop role-playing game, like all manner of things. And Cullen Bunn coming into this, I feel like, is a good fit for it. As I've said before, when we're talking about Bunn, he's responsible for one of the best horror comic books I've ever read, which is Harrow County. It is an absolutely pitch-perfect gothic horror, American gothic particularly. And it also has some really nice body shock terror kind of moments in there. Every single customer who's come in looking for horror, and I've recommended it to them, have enjoyed it, and go back to buy the second volume. He's good at that. But it does also mean that any other time he's done horror, no matter how good it is, I always feel like, wow, it's not Harrow County, is it? And a few times he's not even been like that great. Sometimes it just feels like he's had an idea for something which it was a cool idea but wasn't executed particularly well. In this case, I think playing around in somebody else's sandpit has done him some favours because I've certainly gone into it with an expectation which has been matched. I was expecting the kind of story where it's people having something terrible happen to them. Maybe it's tied into a cult. It's totally tied into a cult. And then they go and investigate and find out that there's more going on, and they then have to team up and try and figure out a way of solving it. And that is exactly what we get here. And Bunn does a great job with this. He has good characters that feel like they're very much of the world. The setting itself feels very appropriate to what I would expect. It is very New England 1920s kind of thing. The dialogue is a little bit toned down from what a lot of people consider to be Lovecraftian, but that's fine. Lovecraft was writing at a different point, and not everyone is Simon Spurrier or Alan Moore when it comes to like really hammering home historical authenticity through dialogue. But that's fine because as much as I enjoy that, it's not necessarily as open and available to everyone. I've said this before, but like you could watch episode 1 of Deadwood and compare it to the last episode of Deadwood and see the difference there as the characters and the writing played more into what would be appropriate to how people spoke at the time. And it's not necessarily easy for contemporary ears to parse that kind of dialogue. So it is a little bit simpler, but in ways that work. In fact, that's one of the big things I'm going to say about it. It is a kind of simple story, but it works. It does what it needs to do. Its pacing is pretty quick, so we don't get too much time to dwell on all the characters and all the intricacies of plots. But again, that is how the game kind of plays. You don't want your first thing being at the diner, your second thing being at the cult meeting, and that be the entire thing you do for the night. Like if you're doing a tabletop RPG like Call of Cthulhu, yeah, absolutely. Spend that time getting to know your characters. Build up world history and canon event kind of stuff. But in a board game, you actually want to go from point to point fairly quickly, and you want to have like snippy dialogue and explain through exposition, but not too much exposition. You can okay leaving some stuff unsaid. People who are buying Arkham Horror stuff know it's Lovecraftian, know it's going to be full of Cthulhu-esque kind of monsters, and exactly what to expect from it. Bunn does that really effectively. Andrea Mutti also does some fantastic artwork, some of the best I've seen from them, should I say. I think mostly down to slightly tighter inking than I'm used to seeing. It doesn't come across... I mean, and I like scratchy artwork, don't get me wrong, but it feels a little bit more controlled here, and that works really nicely with the setting and the action sequences we get. Really helped as well by, I need to check the name for this one, Valerio Allora, whose colouring is absolutely on point. It feels very much of the kind of palette you'd expect to see in an Arkham Horror game with the art they use in that game for both the boards and the cards and all that kind of thing. It does eldritch greens and browns and yellows really effectively, but doesn't like ram it down your throat. Like for an awful lot of time, it does feel very normal and natural. There's a wonderful bit where outside at night and we have a definite full moon on display, so we know that there is just enough light to see how dark it is. And at this point I could then be like, yeah, it is also an advert for a board game, but there's a load of stuff in the back which prove it is an advert for a various type of board game, but also it provides player resources for people who want to incorporate this story into their version of the game. And as somebody who read an awful lot of White Dwarf when they were a kid, I can't really complain about that. I kind of like it as a massive geeky role-playing nerd. All in all, yeah, certainly worth a look. If you're unfamiliar with the Arkham Horror stuff, I feel like it might leave you wanting, but if you're picking up because of that banner on it, you are going to like what you get. That's it from me for now. I'm going to review another one later. Not sure what it's going to be. I might review Garfield. But until I see you again, look after each other, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.